Lovinaka, and a warm welcome to Speak Your Mind. This week's episode, we've got another interesting guest that we're going to be talking about. Now, it is about micro qualifications. As the term suggests, it's about short courses or micro courses. So we've got from ECAP our friends here to join us, but this is, of course, from the qualifications team leader, ECAP Rajendra Prasad, as well as the Education Assessment Officer, ECAP Selai Wangai Nambete Nainova. A warm welcome to Speak to Your Mind to the both of you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Now, before we begin, well, I must also mention that ECAP is also from, you come from the Pacific community, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now, before we start, can you just please tell us a little bit about yourself and your work in education? I understand you were both teachers before you made the shift to quality assurance and accreditation work.
Thank you very much, Louise, and thank you so much for the invitation to be part of the program this afternoon. And bula to all the listeners, and good afternoon to you as well. As Louise has mentioned, my name is Rajendra Prasad, and I'm the team leader for the Qualifications Unit, which is a section within ECAP, Educational Quality and Assessment Program. Now, I started my career as a secondary school teacher. I was a teacher for 3 years, after which I joined the Fiji College of Advanced Education as a lecturer in mathematics. I was at FCAE for 9 years, after which I joined the Ministry of Education, where I was a senior education officer for information and research. On this position, I was responsible for analyzing the examination results and doing all the stats and the reports for the various national examinations. From there, I went on to the Fiji Higher Education Commission. It was way back in 2008 at the very primitive stages of the commission. That time it was known as the Higher Education Advisory Board. So I went there in 2008 and we basically set up the advisory board. We wrote the regulations, the promulgation, the policies and the procedures for the accreditation of providers and qualifications, which is actually the quality assurance work of the Higher Education Commission.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
If I can mention a few other things.
Sure.
And eventually in 2010, the Higher Education Advisory Board then became the Fiji Higher Education Commission. And I was the manager accreditation for about 3 years. And my key role here was the accreditation of providers and qualifications in Fiji.
Wow.
And from there, I went to USP as the quality coordinator, and now with SPC as the team leader for qualifications.
Wow, that's really good. That's a really great experience that you have. So how long have you been with SPC?
I've been with SPC for about 4 years now.
4 years. Fantastic. Okay, well, we better find out from Selai a bit of your history too as a teacher in the past, and moving on now to SPC ECAP.
Thank you, Louise. Similar to Rajendra, as you mentioned, I was a teacher. And then I joined the Fiji National Training Council at that time in 1994. Then it became the Training and Productivity Authority of Fiji. So my involvement in quality work began then at TPAF. From TPAF, I then went on to join the Secretariat of the Pacific Board for Educational Assessment, where the project on the Pacific Qualifications Framework started. So we were the initial group of people that started the work on the Pacific Qualifications Framework. In 2013, after a review, the Secretariat of the Pacific Board for Educational Assessment changed its name. It became the Secretariat for the Pacific Board for Educational Quality. So from SPBA, it became SPBEQ. But the name ECAP came on in 2015. Yes, so that was how I came to be involved in the accreditation work and qualification at ECAP now.
Wow, congratulations. I mean, it can't be easy to be, in the field of assessment. How did you get into that?
Well, it's part of the role that we play at ECAP is to support the countries in the region in the quality assurance or in higher education. And that is part of the work that Rajendra and I do at ECAP.
Must be a very hard work.
Challenging, I would say.
I would say. Yes, so that's really good. So your qualifications team is a section of ECAP. Could you explain in detail how your team is connected to SPC?
ECAP does a lot more than just qualifications, but our particular section, what we do is a lot of the work that we do is supporting the national agencies. We have 5 countries in the region that have their own national accreditation agency. In Fiji, for example, we have the Fiji Higher Education Commission. Then we have one in Samoa, the Samoa Qualifications Authority. We have one in Tonga, the Tonga National Qualification and Accreditation Board. And we also have one in Vanuatu, the Vanuatu Qualifications Authority. We also have in Papua New Guinea. So these are agencies that are responsible for the quality assurance of higher education in the region, in their own countries. So our role at ITCAP is to support these national agencies in the role that they play. So a lot of the work that we do is particularly in capacity building. We run a lot of seminars and workshops and training where officers from these national agencies come to be upskilled, a lot of information sharing, a lot of awareness raising. Quality assurance in higher education is particularly new in the region, so a lot of the work that we do is in support of what they do at the country level.
I see. Now, micro qualifications is a new initiative, I believe, for the region, and ECAP was only a few months behind New Zealand in introducing micro qualifications. That is quite a milestone. How was this possible?
Louise, in the Pacific region, we have a large number of short trainings provided by various organizations. If you have a look at the papers in the weekends and other publications, you will see organizations advertising short trainings that people can actually pay money and do. Now, these trainings actually take up quite a bit of time and money, but in terms of recognition, they don't quite get the recognition that they should actually. So really, learners complete the short trainings, but they do not get an award that is recognized.
Okay.
Now, the quality assurance agencies in the region only quality assure full qualifications. They do not, well, they haven't come to the point whereby they quality assure short trainings. So in 2017 and 2018, we've had queries and questions from a number of organizations who actually provide a large number of trainings for assistants to get the short courses accredited. So what happened last year, SPC actually put out a concept on innovative projects. There was a certain amount of funding that was set aside, and the different sections of SPC were invited to put up proposals. And so we did one as well. And our proposal was the proposal to develop short trainings and accredit them as micro qualifications.
Okay, we will be back with that on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. I hope you're enjoying the program. Do stay with us if you can. Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits, and it's all about education, as you can see, as we speak to ECAP qualifications team leader Rajendra, and as well as Selai Wanga Nimbete Nainotha, who is an education assessment officer from ECAP. So where you left off, micro qualifications, how is this helpful to people?
If I can complete
Sure.
discussing about how we actually came about doing this.
Okay.
So last year, SPC actually put out a concept on innovative projects, and we put our proposal as well. And our proposal was to develop the short courses as micro qualifications and have them accredited. So in the process, we developed 2 micro qualifications in fisheries and 1 in educational assessment.
So just the 2?
Total of 3.
Okay, total of 3, yes.
Now, the thing that is important to note and to state here is, while we were behind the project, the actual work on the development was taken up by the industry professionals. So we consulted with the professionals in the fisheries sector and the education sector. They all came together in the same room, and they actually talked about the kind of skills that learners are required to demonstrate in the industry out there. Now, it is also important for me to state at this point in time that qualifications are meant to serve the needs of the industry. And therefore, it's very important that they are aligned to the needs of the industry. So we had a very similar approach whereby we got the industry involved in the actual development of the MQs and their endorsement as well. So this is how the whole idea of micro qualifications came about.
All right. So when you say needs of the industry, can you just explain a little bit more in depth?
Well, I'll take the example of a carpenter. A carpenter out in the industry should be able to demonstrate skills like, for example, if it is a general carpenter, how to make how to put up blocks, how to do the tiling. I'm talking about the general carpenter who would be having all the skills.
Yes, great example. And the person doesn't have a certificate, maybe. Okay, so when you do have these small micro certificates that you give out, at least they've got something which can help them, like you're saying, like for instance, a carpenter. So, I mean, maybe a carpenter is fully and truly experienced, but doesn't have the certification. So would that be a great example of that person taking these courses? Would they be able to take these micro qualifications?
Well, the micro qualifications in carpentry, when they are done, a carpenter should be able to do that to get the certificate to say that the person has met all the requirements of the trade.
Right. So, I mean, it makes it easy for that carpenter maybe to go overseas and make more money.
Correct, yes.
So, I mean, it's very helpful. Okay, so explain the specifics and the regional aspect of the ECAP micro qualifications.
Well, a micro qualification is actually a subset or component of a qualification that is designed to address a specific need for which only certain skills are required. It's important to note that a micro qualification is very narrow and very focused, unlike a qualification which could be very general as well. Now, and micro qualifications are also referred to as skill sets. Some countries refer that to as skill sets. Some refer that to as units of competencies, modules, or even nano degrees.
Okay.
And as I mentioned earlier, they are very narrow in focus, and they address the needs of a particular trade or skill area.
Okay.
Now, some of the features of a micro qualification, they're very short in duration. They could be completed, say, within a week or 2 weeks. And they are developed with input from the industry. As I mentioned earlier, we get the industry personnel around the table to actually tell us the kind of skills that the learners are required to have. And they should then be able to demonstrate those skills out in the industry. A micro qualification is also accredited. By accreditation, we mean what we normally do here is we get a set of experts from the same field to have a look at the package and say that this is a good package and this is a package that is relevant and appropriate for the industry. The other features are with micro qualifications, these learners have to undertake assessment. By assessment, I mean you need to be able to do a short test. You might have to do projects, and so after you pass, only then you get your qualification.
I see. So you send out the invites to...
Okay, whoever is part of the micro qualification will be required to take short tests and assessments and other projects.
Okay.
This is a bit different from a short training.
Oh, I see.
Other short trainings that people normally undertake, you don't have assessment. But with micro qualification, assessment is an integral component. You cannot complete a micro qualification if you haven't been through assessment.
Oh, I see. So maybe, Selai, you might like to elaborate on that.
I just wanted to pick up on a question that you asked earlier between regional. You mentioned regional. Maybe I can just explain the difference between a regional micro qualification because we also have national qualifications.
Okay.
For example, in Fiji, national qualifications are those developed by the industries within Fiji.
Okay.
So if we have a national qualification in automotive mechanic, then that qualification would have been put together by the mechanics.
I see.
So when it's a regional, we have involved representatives from the countries. So the 3 micro qualifications that we developed this year, we involve reps from the different countries. That's why we identify them as regional.
I see.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank
Because
you for that.
that would be different from national.
Yes, yes, I get
I
it.
think if I can add on to the definition of the word regional here. So regional MQ is an MQ that was, as I mentioned, developed in consultation with the regional industry experts. It's also owned by the region, and the micro qualifications will be delivered by providers of the region. So those are the other perspectives of a micro qualification which is regionally owned.
Okay, so it is still pretty new, like we said.
Yes.
I mean, it just started this year, so it's a pilot project, and yeah, just hoping. So we have unfortunately come to the end of this segment on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. And we are now joined by Cherie Morris, who is from USP and was part of the micro qualification that was developed by ECAP. Could you introduce yourself and tell us how you were involved with this micro qualifications?
Okay, thank you. I'm Cherie Morris. I work at the Institute of Marine Resources at USP. And I was part of a team that did some pilot trials in the region, delivering a course on seafood export market development. And so part of the course materials for that short training included aspects of food safety and seafood business, which are the 2 micro qualifications for fisheries.
Oh, wow. So what exactly were the 2 micro qualifications for the fisheries sector?
So one is dealing with food safety, things like hygiene when you're dealing with seafood. So some best practices that need to be followed when you are handling seafood, fish, and other marine animals. And the other one is about how to start a business and maintain that business. So in terms of managing, in terms of finance and budget and things like that to do with businesses.
Oh, thank you. Now, the fisheries sector was the first industry to seek ECAP's help to develop a micro qualifications. Tell us about it.
Well, we thought that it would be good to develop a micro qualification in the fisheries sector to help or to upskill those involved in the fishing industry, and especially with to do with business and livelihoods. So a lot of Pacific Islanders are involved in the informal fisheries sector, and so that's why we wanted to reach out to them so that they are able to get a qualification, get recognized for their skills or upskilling.
Upskilling, okay. So that's a great way to do it, is get your micro qualification. Okay, so how does it work when a workplace or training institution wants to accredit or develop an accredited short training course or micro qualification?
Yeah. The process, there is a particular process that is followed. What has happened in our experience in this case, we've had a number of organizations come to inquire. They have courses that they run continuously over the years, and they are looking at how they can formalize the training and maybe look at how it can be accredited so that the participants do go out with some recognized skills and knowledge which they have gained from the training.
Yes.
And that is how we have gone this way into looking at how we could accredit short courses into micro qualifications.
Okay, that's pretty good. So how long does it take to get the micro qualification? It depends on the
Yeah,
different
it
courses?
depends on how. For example, one of the key part of the process is consultation, getting the advisory committee like the one that Cherie was a member of.
Right.
And we had to get the group together over a number of a period. I think it was over 3 to 4 months. So they were meeting. I think they had 4 to 5 meetings in the process to decide on the component of the micro qualification. So it can be very intensive. So it depends on how long it would take to consult with the industry, and then they agree on the component. And the other process also is to get the endorsement from the industry. So the advisory committee that were involved in the development are not the only ones that are going to endorse. We needed a much bigger group from the industry to endorse the micro qualification.
I see. Okay, so Cherie Morris, what did you find about being a part of this with ECAP?
Well, it was quite interesting. It was a good learning experience because we haven't been involved in development of a course, a formal course, just in informal trainings. But we had a good team of 5 from different backgrounds, and we worked together well. And yeah, we just thought it was very enlightening, inspiring, in order to be, and this is the first micro qualification for Fiji, and we were quite happy to be involved and to contribute.
Well, that's nice. So what would you like to, just say to the public about the micro qualification certificate, how important it is, Selai?
Yeah, I think for a lot of us who have come through the industry in various capacities, for example, for myself, having been involved in training in the industry for a number of years with FNTC as well as with the Training and Productivity Authority of Fiji, there are a lot of training that organizations run to meet the need of the organization.
Yes.
But I think over time, when you continue to offer those training, it's important to think about what participants go back with after the training. Micro qualification, because it formalizes, it recognizes the skills and the knowledge that are attained out of those training, and the participants do have a piece of paper that states that they have met the requirement of the course. For example, it gives a little bit more a value to the person in a sense.
I reckon it does. Yes, I'm sure it would. Yes, so that's what you mean, that it carries weight.
Yes,
for that person instead of having an in-house training and that's it.
Yes.
There's no certificate. So when you say accredited, can you explain more?
Accreditation, there are certain requirements or criteria that the course has to meet in order to be accredited. So there are certain criteria, and when you develop the micro qualification, Cherie would have noted this. There are certain criteria that they have to meet in order to accredit that short course.
So it's not easy. You
No,
have
it's
to.
no, it's not easy. Yeah, there's certain standards that have to be met.
Right.
Yeah, and then you can then say that it's accredited. Accreditation means that it has met some standards, prescribed standards.
Yes.
So a micro qualification would have met a certain prescribed standards, if I can say that.
Oh, lovely. That's really interesting. Thank you. On Gold FM, Speak Your Mind. We'll be back soon. Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits, and it is great to have your company. Hope you're finding this interview interesting as we talk about our first ever micro qualifications in Fiji, a pilot project. and we welcome our friends into the studio. We've got, the qualifications team leader back with us again from ECAP, Rajendra Prasad, and we've also got Makalesi Ndriu, and she's the education consultant, assessment, evaluation, and moderation. So as I've said, this is pretty new. Now, if you're listening in and you're interested in asking a question, you can easily call 3220906 or 77320906, as we have the experts here with us. So now we will continue with this micro qualifications, and we've been speaking a bit with Selai as well. So Rajendra, would you like to just add further on how amazing this new pilot project is? And also we must have our friend Cherie to tell us more as well of your experience.
Thank you, Louise, once again. As I mentioned earlier, this is a pilot project. And last year, using the funding that we got from SPC, we managed to develop 3 MQs for micro qualifications. And this micro qualification development project is the very first in the Pacific region, I should say that.
True, that's quite
and
amazing.
in other parts of the world as well, this is a fairly new thing. New Zealand only started the development of MQs or micro qualifications as well last year. They are piloting this project. Last year we actually took a trip to NZQA, and we had a good discussion with the staff of NZQA, and we learned about the kind of challenges that they were facing, and that actually provided a platform for us to discuss how we can further improve that. But it's something new and something really important and needed for the Pacific region.
So why do you say that?
Because if you have, as I said earlier, if you have a look at the papers in the weekends or all other kinds of publications that actually go out, there is demand and there is actually a lot of interest for a large number of short trainings. And this is on-the-job training. And it could be as simple as writing minutes or preparing a income and expenditure statement.
Right.
And of course, the list could go on. So the trainings are out there, but the trainings haven't been formally accredited, and because they haven't been formally accredited, learners are not able to get a recognized qualification for the kind of training and for the kind of investment that they're making in the training.
Yes.
So it's good both for the learners because they get a recognized qualification that will then lead to better employment opportunities. And it's also good for the financiers because financiers will get value for their investment.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, upskilling their workers,
Correct.
which is a good thing. So maybe our friend Makalesi Ndriu, you might like to share with us about the micro qualifications as well.
Mbulubinaka Louise and Mbulubinaka Fiji. I'm Makalesi Ndriu. Have been teaching in the secondary schools around Fiji. Spent about 29 years as a teacher, and at the school level, after teaching, we also had to prepare examination papers and assess the students' learning abilities. From teaching there in the secondary schools, I then joined the Fiji College of Advanced Education as a lecturer and a senior lecturer, again working with teacher trainees and also assessing their abilities in the different areas of their teacher training. Then joined the Ministry of Education as a senior education officer, and had to also set examination papers, national examination papers for the school, for schools, for the subjects that I was majoring in.
I see.
Okay.
So you are the education consultant?
Yes.
Okay, this is for ECAP?
For ECAP.
Wow, so you're doing all the hard yards with Selai, eh? Well, a lot of experience. And what was it like for you to be doing something of, for the first time, micro qualifications? Because I believe you had earlier in the year one that you actually did with educators. You might like to tell us about a little bit about that one.
Thank you, Louise. Yes. With the assessment work that has to be done for the region, we were informed that
we have to undergo the training in a micro qualification in assessment instrument development.
So you actually got that certificate? You had to sit for it, or you actually planned out the whole thing, obviously?
The EGAP
Yes.
set out, as Mr. Rajendra has explained, that the micro qualification on assessment instrument development is one of the three.
Yes.
Yes, that has been developed. I was lucky to be considered
Okay.
to be part of the training.
Oh,
And
I see,
I
right.
found that to be very interesting and also specific, because the micro qualification on assessment instrument looked at the particular areas that as a regional examiner or moderator would have to do, to look at as part of that.
I mean, I
So,
believe someone in your job has to have an analytical mind and be organized. To be an assessor, it's not an easy
yes.
thing to be.
So having undergone that training, that really helps in the work as an evaluator and also as a assessor or moderator, because yes, as you have mentioned, that we have to be analytical and really look at whatever is prepared
Right.
thoroughly.
Yes.
With the skills and experience that has been gained through that micro qualification.
So you found it really helpful to you?
It is, yes, it is very helpful.
So looking forward, Rajendra, we're going to obviously have more educators to go for that micro qualification.
Most certainly. I think that's a training package that we have done for the entire region. And as my friend mentioned here, we had the training run for the first time in February this year. And there were a total of 56 participants, if I can recall the figure. Now, a similar training will be run in other countries as well. There is a lot of interest from other countries for the same training to be run, and also interest from training providers in Fiji and in the Pacific. Because in all educational institutions where there is teaching and learning, there is assessment.
Okay.
And assessors need to be well equipped on the methods and procedures for assessment. And this particular micro qualification actually addresses that.
Okay.
It's not general, it only addresses on the specifics of assessment, how to plan it out, how to conduct assessment, how to write assessment items. Yeah, basically all that are covered in this micro qualification.
Excellent. But obviously, Makalisi, we'll be back soon on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. It is lovely to have your company. I do hope you're enjoying the program, and it's live on radio. If you have any question that you'd like to ask, call 3220906 or 3220907. As you can see, we've got the Education Assessment Officer back with us, Selai Wangainambete Nainotha, and our friend Rajendra, who's been explaining how important it is with this micro qualification. So a lot of impact already. FNU was the most recent organization that has shown interest in micro qualifications. Can you tell us about this?
Yes, it's exciting for me because I worked with TPAF before it became part of FNU. And a lot of the training that we offer to the industry are participatory courses. You know, they come as, and we give them a certificate of participation. Now, these are the courses that FNU is now wanting to have accredited. So a lot of the short courses that are run by their National Training and Productivity Center are the ones that they're looking at accrediting through ECAP, or the micro qualification process that we've been talking about.
Excellent. Well, we do need to seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. I know this is something which is true. Now, Bill, thank you for that. Who qualifies to apply for accreditation of a short training they have or want to have?
Because the accreditation of micro qualifications is not done by any other organization in the Pacific region, they're still trying to set it up as far as our understanding goes. So really, essentially, we are the only one right now. And so our services are available to whoever has a training package that the person would like to get accreditation for. The ones that we have done in the past, they were regional organizations, but the most recent one, as I mentioned, it's FNU. And so FNU would now like to partner with us to accredit its micro qualifications. And as I said earlier, any other organization that has got a short training package that is worthy of accreditation as a micro qualification, the organization can actually come over for a discussion and package it and meet our requirements and get accreditation for that micro qualification.
All right. Selai, maybe you'd like to explain more, like if organizations approach you, you can actually develop that micro qualification, or is it already there, the different courses that you can take?
With FNU, they already are running those courses. They have been
Okay.
running those courses over the years. They now would like to have them accredited. And I believe some organizations are the same. There are short courses that they run all the time. And if they would like to have those courses accredited, then they could, they could come and talk to us.
Okay.
Some of the organizations, we are still at the discussion stage at the moment. FNU is the only one that has actually signed an agreement with us to go through their short courses and have them accredited. So, like Rajendra has said, they can come and talk to us, just have a discussion, and then we can see how we can move on further to look at how they can have their courses, short courses accredited.
Okay, so Rajendra, you might like to add on why it's important to have these micro qualifications.
As
I mean,
said,
you have to repeat yourself, so I
Okay.
mean, at least people can know the great importance of it, for them to get ahead in life or whatever. I mean, make more money.
as I said earlier, a micro qualification is actually a short training that has been quality assured. And a training that has been quality assured is then relevant
Recognized.
and recognized.
I think that's one of the very
Yes.
important ones as well.
It's relevant to the industry needs.
Mm.
It's recognized by the employers, recognized by other organizations as well.
So when
And of
you say
course-
recognized, how is it recognized?
It's simply that the certificate that they actually take to any organization for employment or maybe salary increase, the employer will then look at the certificate and see, okay, this is a certificate that I give value to. It's like a USP qualification. You get a qualification from USP, and you would like to take it to an employment agency or any other organization. And because USP has a recognition in Fiji and in the Pacific, on that basis, they recognize that qualification.
Yes. So yours would be recognized what?
So a
Internationally?
micro qualification that has been accredited will also be recognized by organizations. Now, we haven't come to the point of getting international accreditation yet.
Okay, that's right, because it's a pilot project.
It's a
of
pilot
course, yes.
project, and for now, our focus is Fiji and the Pacific.
Okay, so what do you envision other impacts of this micro qualification? Both of you can have an answer for that.
Yeah, I think some of the things that we can point out is for a micro qualification, because it's focused, it's targeted, and you would save time.
Oh,
I'm not
yes.
saying that in comparison to full qualification, you study a number of things. But for a micro qualification, it's focused.
Okay.
You might need development of certain skills only in your
Field.
in your field. So a micro qualification would be able to to provide the avenue of doing it. And you want the training to be you want the skills to be recognized. So you can develop that into a micro qualification.
Right.
The other thing too is a micro qualification can be a pathway to other micro qualification or even a full qualification.
Interesting.
Because you are doing bits and pieces, maybe in a particular area. Who knows? They could be, they could lead you to a full qualification.
Okay,
So it can be a pathway.
lovely. So, for example, maybe I'm working here for FBC, okay? So maybe my boss approaches you guys to get us, maybe to get one of these micro qualifications. So what would happen then?
Yes, certainly. I mean, if you're an announcer and there's certain skills that are important for an announcer,
Yes.
I mean, you can look at how you can package those
Right.
into a micro qualification. So you actually have a micro qualification in a radio announcer.
Okay, I see. And the skills, the skills that I
Yes,
need
the skills that
to be
yes.
recognized on a certificate.
Yes. So you would then be tested. You have to go through certain assessment
Okay.
to show that you have attained the skills and the knowledge required to be an announcer.
Right.
And if you do, then you are given the certificate.
Oh, very interesting. So, how did this all begin? This micro qualifications? How did it all begin? The idea of developing this pilot project.
There's actually, as I said earlier, there's a large number of organizations who deliver short trainings.
Right.
And
But without accreditation.
without
No, without
accreditation. So
accreditation.
really, if you have a look at the value
Yes.
of the short trainings that are not accredited, they still use up a lot of time and money. But in terms of recognition of the certificate that the learners get, there's hardly any recognition.
Yes. Yes.
So organizations actually came to us asking for help in that area
Okay.
to assist, for us to assist them to package their trainings in such a way that it becomes accredited or recognized.
I think one good example is the assessment one, the development of assessment instrument, the one that Mrs. Ndu was talking about.
Yes.
Yes. ICAP provides the training over the years to a number of the education ministries in the region.
Okay.
So over the years, we have been providing the training.
Wow.
So now that it has been packaged into a micro qualification, so participants now can go after the training. They are given the certificate that they have, they have met the requirements.
Excellent. Well,
So
I mean,
it's now recognized.
yes, I mean, it's really good. I'm really happy for Fiji and the region as well. But we have come to an end of the program. And I thank you so much for coming in and talking to us on Speak Your Mind today, Rajendra Prasad, as well as Selai. Thank you indeed.
Thank you very much for having us.
Our pleasure. On Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. We'll be back next week. Until then, you take care, Nisamo Demanda.